Hey folks, just want to give y'all an update on the Gozanti here. So, coming close to completion on the exterior. Still got a little bit left to do. Mainly on the bottom. Perhaps some block work still. Not sure if I'm quite settled on this thruster pod configuration. Looks okay so far. I did slot in some space for additional thrusters. So we could have, so for forward thrust, we could have a couple larges or mediums here, or perhaps we could take out this whole assembly and put in an additional advance on either side. So I've tested it under Hull with tier 2 weapons, all the shield parts, all that stuff, and even with this configuration here, drive thruster to advance, it's robust as far as forward speed. It's top at speed and getting there pretty easy, so that's not an issue. But maybe something comes along and you want some additional thrust. Maybe you're scouting out high G planets or something like that, so that could be a thing. Additional upgrade options. So the same would extend for this forward section here. You could place some additional larges or mediums, perhaps. So obviously with the obstruction here, one of the features about the ship is that you can mount high enforcers. So if you configure them to have the vertical mount, take the gear that's coming in stock here and shift it to the top, you'll be able to park those there. Yeah, just kind of working out the thrusters. Still have the bottom, the texture, that's the thing. Probably do some chain reaction explosion testing, all that good thing. Come along pretty good. So I'm using as comparison the Janus. It's kind of the inspiration. I wanted to think of like, okay, so what would something like a Janus be in a Star Wars setting? So that's kind of where we are with this build. Again, as mentioned before, so the idea behind the ship is I'll probably have two builds. So one of them will be coming in without thrusters and all the other devices, and you'll place it in. I'll probably load you out with like a small constructor or maybe a large constructor, depending on the level. But I'd want to shoot for like level 10. By the way, Janus is also a submarine. It doesn't come with any thrusters. Right. So, well, that's going to be the idea behind one of the Gozantis, and then I'll probably have a workshop link linking back to a private build where one will be upgraded to some extent. So if you want to forgo the CV base theme and just go with something that's going to be starter, that's going to be an option. So in comparison to something like a Janus, it's got around 200,000 less cargo. There are some additional weapon mounts and stuff like that versus it. Now, just saying, just as a disclaimer, Jeff did a great job with this build. So it's not like I'm trying to improve on it or anything like that. Jeff's a great guy, great builder. So I just want to make that clear. And I appreciate everything he does. It's the Janus has been a faction favorite with us. It's an incredible build, and so it was kind of brought to my attention that maybe we'd have like a different take on it, sort of like a Star Wars one. Obviously, Janus was purpose built to dock with the Helios, so well, I don't want to say obviously. I will make it clear that Jay had some restrictions to work under as far as shaping, so it's not anything like this. It's not a contest. Jay's a phenomenal builder. But I wanted something, this inspired me, my faction. So kind of curious, like, what would a Star Wars take on something like that be, the CV base thing? And then so that's where this came from. I've been cranking Star Wars builds for some time now, and Gozanti is a workhorse of the Empire, so naturally it's going to fill in at some point. It's going to fill up the roster. And so this is where we are with it. I'm Unfortunately, so it'll probably have to spawn in with like the lower tier windows, or maybe no windows at all. I think with the lore, what I'm going for is something like you can imagine. So this could be like the next generation of Gozantis for the Empire, and perhaps it was under production, like the first prototype or something was under production when the Empire got shattered, the death of Palpatine or something like that. So maybe this production was halted, and so there's kind of only one shell of a make, and then whoever you are, maybe you like Imperial Remnant, or maybe you're like Rebel Alliance, just entertaining a scenario here. So you go into this maybe Kuat Drive Yards or something, and you capture this prototype, and then you take it and fill it out with thrusters. That kind of idea here. Something to that effect. Anyways, so not too many changes on the interior. I'll just give you a run through about the cargo here. So we have one 320K for ammo, pair of 8K, and a pair of 32K. So these are supplemental. And then on top of that, we have two additional 320K. So it's like 1058 total for cargo. And then again, if you can define its role, its capacity, and all that stuff like that. So these walls are going to be made to be knocked out if you want to do some perhaps shield placement or constructors or something to that effect. So going to be a lot of customization, a lot of modability. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you don't want to put shields in here. You could convert this to a small storage and have the containers run out to the entrance there. Yeah, a number of things you can do with it. So again, the feature here, if you're familiar with the Gozanti, it has placement for TIE fighters. I haven't generated a TIE fighter build, and it's also just kind of messing with one. I've kind of entertained the thought before. They're not that easy to do. First of all, the wings are tall, so it makes storage and access to the build very difficult. So here with our TIE Enforcer, this seems to be a good fit for it. So easy to access, easy to dismount, fly out. I'll show you here. Get a nice little flush landing, get them out of those rocks. If I can. It's not good facing. I'm doing this video in one take, folks. I'm not doing any editing, so all the ums and so's and the terrible park job here, this is all happening live, and we're rolling it out. So, yep, so whenever you find a park, you're set to go, you're good. So they're not that difficult to access. You're just going to jump up on a ramp. And going to be no muss about flying out either. Really, it's just like that. So it's kind of a sweet spot as far as the placement goes. Now on high G, it might give you a little bit of guff trying to jump up, but that's for a jetpack's for, or that's what a jetpack's for. So yeah, that's it. So just a quick run through, digging the build. Man, I'm loving it. I'm really digging. So you get in that kind of sweet spot where you get in that zone where you're enjoying the build that you're doing, and you just keep firing, keep clicking. It's been a good run. I've been enjoying the Gozanti build, so it's gonna be hard to top this one for a Rebel Alliance starter. So I'm thinking, it's gonna be like a Corellian Corvette of some description. Hopefully, I can make it as robust. Very good. Anyways, so yeah, that's it. Just real quick look. So perhaps this week This is the 12th right now, so maybe sometime later this week we could have this thing on a workshop. Still have some LCDs to do, again, just texturing under the bottom. And I think that's it. Well, okay, maybe some min-maxing the weight, rust replacement, stuff like that. But other than that, that's all. That's not going to take too much. Anyways, that's it. Catch y'all next time. LyfeForce out. Hello, folks. If you enjoy my content, if you enjoy my builds, please consider becoming a patron today. As a patron, you get access to custom builds of release works, early access to some builds before they hit the workshop, exclusive builds. You also gain access to direct feedback and engagement through polls, idea suggestions regarding builds before and after workshop release. If this interests you, please check out the pinned comment below. Thank you.